We'll get started in a couple of minutes, but thank you everyone for coming. Deborah asked, I'm not sure if it was before we started or when we started, but just wanted to check whether to join this seminar or not. Could you advise if it contains information in addition to that in SEO Foundations for Small Business that you ran earlier, which I found useful and attended? Which I attended and found very useful. Many thanks, Deborah. So Deborah, today is going to be basically a subset of what you learned in SEO Foundations for Small Business. So in today's session, I'm going to go into more detail on technical SEO and how to fix and find those technical issues that you might be having on your website. And I'm also going to go into more detail on how to do keyword research for your business. So I'm going to go into more detail on how to find those different keywords and how to do that research. So yes, it's going to be there's some really similar topics, but I'm going to go into much more depth than I did in that 2 hours, which covers all of SEO, and go into much more depth into technical and keyword research. Hope that sounds good. Yana from Acadia Conveyancing is here today. We've got 25 people here so far, which is really great. We're expecting, I think, 35, 40. So we'll probably kick off in another minute or so, but hopefully you're all in the right place. We're talking about beginner search engine optimization today, and we're going to talk in more depth around technical SEO and keyword research. Maria says, is this a good seminar for beginners? Yes, it is a good seminar for beginners. And I'm also going to so we're going to make today a little bit more practical than the other workshop that I run. And we're also, so I'm going to stop in a couple of different points and let you ask questions about what I've been explaining as well. So yes, Maria, this should be good for beginners. All right, just getting my last couple of sips of tea before we jump in. We've got 27 people here, which is great. Does everyone want to introduce themselves in the chat? Maybe say who you are and what your business does, or maybe even say what keywords do you want to rank for? What keywords do you think would benefit your business if you rank for them in Google search at the moment? Amber Grace, good morning. I'm Amber Grace from Second Steps. Morning, Amber. Maria says, I haven't had anyone work on my SEO on my website, and I don't have any idea where to start. Perfect. So this is the starting point for how I rank my clients' websites in Google. So you're in the right place, Maria. Harry says, morning, Amber. Harry from Harry Millward Design, fashion designer. Morning, Hong. All right, I'll kick off in 30 seconds. I'll just wait in case there's any more people that are going to join us today. It's about 11:06 in Victoria. Thank you for joining us, wherever you're coming from today. Alex says, hi, I'm Alexander, a technique professional. My private practice is AT Grace. I help people to free themselves from pain, improve posture, balance, and movement. atgrace.com.au. Tanya works in sustainable zero waste eco products, bags, etc. Kira, I work for a couple of organizations, social media, but I want to understand SEO. No idea really. Perfect. Jess says she's in beauty training, spa training, skincare for professionals, organic skincare. Kirsty, has said she's from Wide Open Co, graphic design agency looking to improve our SEO for our website. Melinda is from MAD CDs, MAD CDs. We make products for the music industry. Hong attended SEO Foundations. He's asked, will this session be different from the previous? Hong, you might have just missed it, but yes, this is going to be in more depth and more detail about technical SEO and keyword research in particular. Marie is a sole trader and owns Cakes of Distinction. She designs and creates custom cakes for all occasions with a main focus on wedding cakes. Perfect. Tim Spargo's from Connect Me Audio Visual Solutions in the outer east of Melbourne. They do audio visual installation and data communications. Perfect. Jeanette Wong runs a motel in a location that is small and overlooked. Need SEO to improve visibility. Perfect. Deborah does garden/landscape design. So the keywords that they're interested in are landscape design, Macedon ranges, garden design, Macedon, garden consultation medicine relevant to their area. Bob from Sign Print Source. Hong looks after urban consulting. Charlotte, I had my laptop on silent and I missed the intro. I'm Charlotte, a freelancer in social media and marketing. I've done some casual SEO work but can't remember much. I want to refresh basics. Perfect. And we've got Mark and Susan, an author, guest speaker in the working community looking to launch Zoom sessions. Perfect. Also launching online selling gifts, fine art and prints, working on our website currently. Paul from Heltech is a motorcycle helmets, SEO, piggybacking off established brands if possible. Perfect. All right, I'm going to jump straight into today's session. So I'm going to go into this presentation now and click into the slideshow, and then we'll get cracking. So today we're talking about beginner SEO, and I'm going to really pull apart for you and for your websites technical SEO and keyword research or keyword SEO. My name is Brett Melville. This is actually part of the ASBAS Digital Solutions Program, which is an advisory service that provides direct education and mentorship from digital experts to assist small businesses to build out their digital capability. Businesses will be able to access a series of workshops in their local area, which are now delivered virtually with COVID-19 restrictions, 2 hours of tailored mentoring and online materials. I'd really suggest that everyone go and collect or use up their 2 hours of free one-on-one mentoring. You can book from the online portal, which is asbas.melbourneinnovation.com.au. If you're having trouble accessing that at all, feel free to email asbas@melbourneinnovation.com.au if you can't get in there. And make sure you book in to one of the mentors. So I'm actually one of the mentors. So if you are having trouble with SEO or you are having trouble with your website, feel free to book in a time with me and we can have a chat about that and see what issues that you are having. So a little bit about me. My name is Brett Melville, as I mentioned before. I'm the founder and owner of digital marketing agency Digital Treasury. We specialize in website design and SEO. So we're really passionate about making sure that people's websites explain who they are and what they do, and really quickly show people how they can get whatever it is that they're selling, whether it be a service or a product. And then we like to rank our clients' websites in Google to get them as much traffic as possibly can of high intent customers that actually want to buy their products or services. If you want to keep in touch with me, I often put a lot of tips and content on my LinkedIn account. So if you just go to LinkedIn and search Brett Melville, that's probably one of the best places to follow me. I'm also on Instagram as well, but I'm mainly posting on LinkedIn because I find that works quite well for me. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to quickly talk about what the basics of SEO are and why they're critical for your business success. But then we're going to really spend time on going through technical SEO, what technical SEO is, how to find those technical errors, and then how to go and fix them for your webpage. I'm just going to make my video screen a little bit smaller so you can see the slides a little bit better. Is that better? Yeah, there we go. And then we're going to talk about keyword research. So what we mean by keyword research is those keywords that people are actually searching by putting into search engines to find businesses like yours. So if we can find the best keywords for your business, then we can create content in later stages of the SEO process to help you rank for those. So just a real quick basics, just in case anyone hasn't done SEO training before, but SEO is search engine optimization, and it's basically the practice of where you want to improve. It's a practice or any task whereby you're trying to improve where your site appears in the organic search engine results. So this is done by enhancing the factors that search engine algorithms like Google are using to determine which websites rank above which other websites. So by doing SEO, you're going to be increasing your chances of being found by actual consumers or actual customers and potential clients that are going to want to buy your products or want to buy your services. So when we're talking about SEO or search engine optimization, we're talking about the organic results or the free results within the search engine. So for example, here, if you type in SEO Australia, a piece of my content is actually coming up around number 2, sometimes 3 at the moment. So this is what we're talking about in terms of SEO. Another sub-branch of SEO or organic search engine results is local SEO or map SEO. I'm not sure if you've noticed when you actually search for a term that includes a suburb name. So if you include Melbourne, Sydney, Australia, I think someone said Macedon Ranges. So if you're including a place within a search, often you find that the map comes up. So this is also like a sub branch of SEO, and it's referred to as organic local SEO or maps. We're not talking about today with SEO ads or Google AdWords, or also called pay-per-click advertising. This is different, and you actually have to pay each click that you get if your brand is coming up for the certain keywords up in the Google Ads section. So why should you do SEO for your business? Well, every single day, search engines are having around 300 million searches conducted for people who are looking for information, they're looking for products, and they're looking for services. So without actually implementing an SEO strategy for your business, it's unlikely that you're going to just be able to publish your website and rank well organically for the keywords that you want to rank for, that your customers are using to find you. There was a 2019 Salesforce study that showed 87% of consumers search online prior to making a buying decision. So doesn't it make sense for your business to be in front of people that are looking for information relating to products and services that you sell? Why shouldn't you be the person who gives them that information, that builds that trust and credibility and educates that consumer about the product, about the service, and then maybe explain why they should get it from you? So in terms of SEO and the opportunity for your business, if you can effectively rank your website, you're going to, for keywords that are relating to your products and services, you're going to get more traffic to your website. That traffic is going to convert into inquiries, or leads, some people call them. Those leads or inquiries are going to convert into more sales. And this can be a really, really efficient and high return on investment marketing spend for your business. Lots of people go to search engines to buy services, to buy products. It makes sense for your business to try and attain that traffic or attain those potential leads for your business. So typically an SEO process we've talked about in SEO Foundations for Small Business being this like big wheel of a process. So we go from auditing your website to correcting errors to setting up Google Search Console, Google Analytics, identifying the quick wins there. We research the keywords, we prioritize those target keywords, we create content to rank specifically, then we build backlinks from other websites to that content, and then we track, monitor, and report. So today's session is really aimed around not the whole SEO process, but we're going to talk about those two topics in the red boxes there. So technical SEO, which covers an audit from a technical point of view, and then correcting those errors, and then keyword research, which contains researching those keywords and then prioritizing those target keywords that you really want your business to rank for. So technical SEO and keyword research is the aim of today's game. And I'm going to do some explanation to you, and then I'm going to also get you to do some exercises as we go through to try and help push you forward for your business. So technical SEO, here we go. So technical SEO, in my view, forms the foundation of a good SEO campaign. So what it's trying to do is it's trying to improve the technical aspect of your website to improve your rankings. So what technical SEO is based upon is how the search engines in the background actually work to try and rank your web pages. So there's what we're doing with technical is trying to make it, basically we're just trying to make it easy for Google and other search engine bots to access your web pages and understand what content that you have on your web page. So the two primary functions that technical SEO is sort of talking to from a search engine point of view is the crawling that they do. So search engines have bots or spiders that basically crawl around the internet and try and find all the different web pages. Then what the bots do is they index those pages. So they create massive indexes of content. And then the other thing that a search engine does is then it ranks the content that it finds in that index. But before you even get to the ranking part, you need to make sure that your website's easy for Google to crawl. And then you need to make sure that your website is valid enough in order to be included in Google's index. So that's what technical SEO is trying to address, making your website accessible and easy for search engine bots to grab as much of your content as possible to give you a chance or give you that probability of actually ranking in the search engine results. All right. So common technical SEO problems that I've found actually from during the mentoring sessions that I've conducted with many of you is slow loading page speeds, larger than needed image sizes, which is also can cause that slow loading pages, broken links on web pages, insecure websites that don't have an SSL certificate, multiple versions of the site, so you can access the site from HTTP, HTTPS, www or non-www versions of the URL or your domain. The sites are missing a sitemap. And I find that sites are missing image alt text on their images. So I'll explain what that is in a second. Slow loading speed. All right, so visitors and people in general are actually quite impatient. Many studies have shown that people, when they land on a website, decide in less than 5 seconds if they're actually going to stay there. So therefore, from a user experience point of view, you want to have a nice fast loading website so that people can land on your website and start reading your content as quickly as possible. If your website's taking more than 5 seconds to load, and even if it's taking 4 or 3 seconds, your users have got a very short amount of time which they're going to decide whether they stay or go from your website. And then even Google has been hinting at loading speed as being a ranking factor, although testing that I've seen in private SEO groups that I'm in isn't really conclusive on page speed being a factor. But even as recent as May, Google have sort of started publishing and started putting out there that page experience from a speed point of view is going to be a key factor going forward for their algorithm. So Google's continually trying to make changes and improvements to their algorithm. So when they're feeding information out like this, it basically tells me as an SEO that this is something that even if it's not showing up in the algorithm now, it's going to start becoming more and more important going forward. So in terms of diagnosing or working out what your loading speed of your page is, you need to do a speed test. So for that, you're going to need a tool. There's multiple different tools out there, and all of these, what they're going to do is they're going to break down information on your website to show you which is what elements of your web page are slowing it down. So my favorite tool to use is tools.pingdom. The reason being is it lets you actually change the location of the server from the test. So what that does is if your website is in Australia, it lets you choose an Australian-based server to test this loading speed from. A lot of the other tools use the US, which isn't ideal because most of your customers are going to be coming from Australia. So you want to understand the Australian consumer experience of being on your website. Google also has their own website speed test. I find the metrics are extremely harsh, but it does give good insights about what changes you can make to your website to get speed improvements. Batch speed is a good site. What it actually does is it piggybacks off the Google page speed test, but it actually scans your whole website and tests every single page. So not just one single URL, which usually most people test on their home page. GT Metrics is another great site. It does test from Canada though, so it can be show your site is quite slow. And basically these tools will give you information on what is slowing down your website. So what elements are actually hurting it from a speed point of view and what you need to work on. You can see in this screenshot on the bottom right, it's saying that this website needs to optimize images and serve scaled images. So if everyone could now, while they're on this call, go into tools.pingdom.com, enter the URL of your homepage. If you could change the location to Sydney, and then post your load time in the chat for me. All right, so if everyone can go to tools.pingdom, I'll drop that in the chat, just in case people can't find it. So go to tools.pingdom and enter your URL. It's best to copy and paste that from your actual website. So for example, it's got, it'll be https://digitaltreasury.com.au would be my business. And then change the test from to Pacific, Australia, and Sydney. All right, so Tim's got 2.03 seconds, which is really good, Tim. So what I'm hoping for is people have a website loading speed between 1.5 and 3 seconds is what would be a good loading speed. So Tim's got 2.03, which is really, really good. So well done, Tim. What else have we got? 3.83. Okay, so that's pretty good, Tanya. Starting to get slightly on the slow side. If you've got a really high seconds, don't be embarrassed about putting it down, because I'm going to help the person with the slowest loading time in this example, so other people can learn as well how I would go about fixing the errors. Okay, so Catherine's got 4.14, again, slightly on the slow side. Because, Catherine, if people are making decisions in 5 seconds, you're only giving them 0.9. Okay, Romina has 9.5. So Romina's the current leader, so to speak. Romina, can you just drop your URL in the chat as well? Okay. Hong wins. 500, half a second, Hong. Well done. Romina, can you just drop your URL in the chat, please? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, if you're comfortable sharing your URL, I'm going to go through with the group how I would diagnose maybe the problems that are causing your website to load slowly. All right, so I'm just going to change the screen sharing. 1 second. All right, so I'm just sharing my screen. So hopefully you can see we've got Romina's website up here, really nice looking website. And if we chuck it in here, so we chuck the URL in here, and then we'll run a speed test here. So one thing I do want to check is it's important to see who is hosting. So there's a web page called Who is Hosting This. If your website is being hosted offshore, you're already adding time to the loading speed. So where is this? It's not actually showing who is hosting it. So I've gone to whoishostingthis.com, and I'm not sure. It's not. It usually says the location. Where's the location of my website hosting? So I really want to find out that hosting checker. Here we go. I'm not sure if you know who your hosting is, Romina, but I just want to check that while the speed test is running. Okay, so the speed test is running here, and I'm actually getting a little bit even slower, Romina, unfortunately. So that's still loading, and I can pretty much see what the problem is going to be. Okay, so 16.26 seconds. So I'm not sure what your sales rate are like or what your traffic's like, Romina, but that's a really, really slow loading website. Some people don't have the patience, so they might not even be staying on your web page. Okay, so I found another website called hostingchecker.com, and what that does is it's actually... Okay, so it's a Shopify website, so it should be okay. Is that right, Romina? Is it a Shopify website? So Shopify does have. Just let me check in the code. Okay, so it should be a Shopify website. Should be fine. So Shopify, they are. It does say they're hosted in the US, but they have what's called a content delivery network, which means that they've actually, in effect, got servers in everywhere around the world. So it shouldn't affect your loading time. But one thing that can affect loading time is if you have a WordPress website, for example, and maybe you have like a HostGator or Bluehost hosting account, which is hosted in the US, this can add 2 seconds of load time to your web page. But that's not going to be the problem here. I'm already sensing what the problem is going to be. And you can see here that the page size is 24 megabytes. That is very, very large. If I scroll down here, they tell me the content size by content type. And the images on the website are 23.3 megabytes, which is very, very large. So I know there's quite a few images on this page. We've got images in a slider up here, and we've got these images here, and we've got sort of images there, and we've got an Instagram feed as well. So images are going to kill your loading speed because it's roughly going to take half a second to a second per megabyte to download. So you want to see your images to be sort of 1 to 200 kilobytes if you can. So I've gone down to the bottom here. There's a whole heap of different information. You can see here CDN.Shopify. So that's the content delivery network that's trying to give us those images. So the images are coming from somewhere locally like Sydney, but they're just too large. What you have down here is the file request. So every single file that is taking that 16 seconds to load will come through down here in a waterfall. So what we need to do is we need to do entries per page. So there's 28 pages here. So we just need to put in 300 so that it all comes up on one page. And here's every single file that gets loaded on our website. So we can do a few things here. We can sort this by the load order or the load time. So I like to do it by load time. Also, you can do it by content type, especially if you've got a lot of images. And what that's going to do is, if I just do load time again, it's going to show me which pieces of content are taking a lot of time to load. So, for example, this line here, which is bph6512.jpg, that is taking almost 3 seconds on its own to load. So if I click on here, this will show me exactly which image it is. So this particular image here, and if I click there, this image here is 900 kilobytes, right? So that's taking quite a lot of time to load. So before you upload images to your, I think I talk about this in the training further on, but I'll go through it. I'm actually going to get to it in the next bit. But basically what I would do, you'd need to optimize that image size and then upload it to your website. So if that's 900 kilobytes, I'll show you quickly the process that I would take to change that. So I think, I'm trying to find that image. Not sure where it is. But basically, there's two ways you can make an image smaller. You can compress that image and you can resize it. So if this was me, what I would do, if I look at this picture, it's way too large. I would find the largest place it needs to be on the web page. So I'm not exactly sure where that image is. Let's just assume it was this image here. Right, so the largest this image needs to be, we can get by in Chrome right-clicking on that image and going to inspect. And then if you hover, over that image, it says, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it says 445 by 667. This image is 1067 by 1600. So I know they're different images, but the largest this ever needs to be is 445 by 667. So we can reduce the size of this image. So I'll just save this down to my computer documents. So the first step I like to do is I have a program called paint.net. It's just a free editing piece of software. I don't think my whole screen's sharing. Sorry, I'll just share my whole screen for a moment. So I've opened up that image in paint.net, and so I would just go to resize, and I'll change that to 445, and then I'll click OK, and then I'll click Save. So then already that image started off as being 1.1 megabytes, and it's now being compressed down to 467. So I've already halved the size of that image. So I'll just save that. The next step that we can take is we can go to a website called tinypng.com, and we can compress that image further. So what I can do here, I can take our image. There we go. So tinypng.com is the website. And what I can do is I can, if I can find my folder, so I can find that image, that BP6H6512, and I can drop it in here. And what this does is it actually compresses your image. So now that image that was originally, what was it, 1 megabyte or 900 kilobytes? Yeah, let me grab that test. So this was 980 kilobytes beforehand. So this 980 kilobyte image with TinyPNG, we've managed to get that down to 119 kilobytes. So it's almost 10%. So 10% of what we originally started with. Then you'd have to re-upload that. Maria just asked, I missed the step to view the photo. To view the photo in, I think you're talking about in Pingdom. So you come, once you've run that, you'll get a waterfall down the bottom. So I like to sort them by load time and take off rising. So the slowest loading are at the top. And then basically I click on those files, and then that image comes up, and I click on that image icon, and it comes up and tells me which one it is. So you can also, I think you can copy that address too. Link. So you can go to the actual file and click on that address. All right, so Romina, you've got a big day ahead, unfortunately, because you've got to now go through all these files, all these image files that are over 100 kilobytes. I would search by, I would order the file request by content type, and then come down to your images, the little icon there that's got the mountain picture on it. And I would scan through, and anything that's over 100 kilobytes, I would look into. So that's what, you've got a big day ahead, unfortunately. But you're going to get a lot of improvement in your web page. Your pure volume of, like this one's 550. So if you can get that 550 down to maybe 50 or 100, if you can get that 980 kilobyte one down to 100, you're gonna quickly chip away at that really large number that you have in terms of page size per megabyte. So that 24. So the reason your web page is really slow is that the image size is way too large. Okay, so that's Pingdom. Is there anyone have any questions about Pingdom or about what I just did for Romina's website? So what we're focused on there is, oh, hang on, my entire screen application. Sorry, I'm just looking for my presentation. There it is. So I'm just trying to share my screen again. So I guess what we're trying to look for there is what is causing the bottleneck and what is causing your loading speed to be slow. So you may find in there that the issues are more complicated than just images. So you may need to go through the messages in Pingdom and copy and paste those errors into Google and search for them and see what they are. The other common, so as I mentioned, the common thing I do find is offshore hosting. But if you do have Squarespace or Wix or Shopify, they will have what's called a content delivery network to make sure it is quick. But if you're not sure and you've got WordPress hosting, check your host location and get that changed to Australia. All right, so questions. Melinda says, we have a lot of product images. What is the optimal file size per image? Melinda, it really does depend on how big the image needs to be. So for example, some header slider images need to be 1920 wide by 600. So sometimes they just have to be 500 or 600 kilobytes. So it's about making sure all the images are the maximum size that they need to be and not any bigger than that, and that they are compressed. What Paul has asked, what was the first website that you resized the pic in before going to tiny PNG? That website was, it's actually a program called paint.net. If you go to, it's actually a free application, and it's just some really good basic image editing software. I'll drop the link to it, Paul. It's getpaint.net. And Tanya, and the other website that I talked about there was tinypng.com, and what that does is it will compress the article. So I've dropped those two links in the chat. Does anyone else have any other questions about what I just showed you in terms of checking your image, checking your loading speed? Is there any other questions on that? If there's not, I'll keep tracking. Okay, I haven't seen any more questions come through. If anyone asks them, I'll come back to it in a second. So yeah, I guess it's important to identify those errors in your loading speed. They're going to come through those tools. So don't just run Pingdom, run the other ones too, and see what the suggestions are that they're making. And if you don't know what they mean, just copy and paste those suggestions into a Google search and maybe a YouTube search to find people that are there explaining what those errors are and how to fix them. Tanya has asked, what about HTTPS? I'm not sure what that means exactly, Tanya. Do you want to detail that out a little bit more, that question? But I will talk about HTTPS and the other issues shortly. So my next point that I was going to make about technical SEO is one of the main problems that I find when I'm mentoring people is that the images are too large. And Romina gave us a great example there of image file sizes that were big, and they were causing slow loading for her web page. So if you have images that are over 200 kilobytes, look if you can resize them, look if you can compress them in tiny PNG. Jeanette has asked, does the resize crop the image? So it should exactly resize it to either the height or the width, depending on which one you use. So yes, it scales them, Jeanette. It doesn't actually crop them. Tanya says, my website is making too many requests. So that can be, there's a lot of files or a lot of scripts on your web page. So maybe do you have a lot of plugins or apps or scripts that you don't really need, Tanya, and you can cull a few out? Deborah says, my Pingdom did not seem too bad, but not great at 2.2. On the Google test, it was very bad. Yes. So you'll find that I mentioned that the Google page speed test is very critical and very harsh. And I find it harsh on Australian websites too, in particular. So I'm not sure if their testing location is offshore, but there is different. I prefer Pingdom because it gives a pure speed. And if your speed's around 2.24 seconds, that's really good. But I would consider looking through the recommendations that Google makes in their page speed test and see what they're saying to do and see what they're saying to change. Amber has asked, should you do a page speed for each, a test for each page? Yes. You may find your homepage is perfectly fine, but you've accidentally, when you've published a blog at some point, put a really massive image of your SLR camera on that blog post and not actually changed or resize or optimize that file. So yes, Amber, you definitely want to be testing multiple pages. And an easy way to do that is by using batchspeed.com. which actually searches and crawls all your pages on your site and gives you the page speed score. So if one of the pages is a lot slower than the others, you can investigate further that particular page. Marie has asked, I'm confused how to check the size of the image on your page. Okay, so what you have to do, if you have Chrome as a browser, what you need to do is you need to right click on where that image is on your page, go down to inspect, and then inspect will bring up basically a developer code from behind your web page, and it should be able to tell, it should tell you when you hover on that code how large that image is in terms of resolution. So it should say width and height in pixels, how big that image is in terms of the actual area on your web page. All right, I'm going to keep cracking on the presentation. So that's going to, I find this with a lot of people that I mentor, that they have, don't feel embarrassed or Romina, it's perfectly fine. But a lot of people I find when I'm mentoring and reviewing their websites from a technical point of view, they have images that are too big. So check your image sizes, make sure that they're fine, and check those other elements that are coming up and the other suggestions that those speed tools are making. The other issue that I find, and it actually makes it bad for Google, it makes it hard for their bot to crawl your website and actually for real users, is when you have broken links. So broken links, you want to ensure that your website doesn't have any of these. So there's two different tools you can run for this. One is called brokenlinkcheck.com. So I'll drop this into the comment there. I'll let you run that yourself. So basically what that'll do, you put in your URL, the same as you did on the speed test, and it'll scan your web page and find the pages that contain broken links, and it'll show you where they go to. So sometimes you might be linking out to different pieces of content and they've either moved them or deleted them. And sometimes you're linking to content within your page, but maybe you've changed the URL of your page structure. So you need to check and scan your web page to make sure you don't have any of those broken links. Another tool, which is a little bit more advanced, is called Screaming Frog. And what that does, it actually scans similar way to what a search engine does, a whole range of different factors on your web page. But similar to the way that Broken Link Check does, it'll show you under a section called Client Error 4XX, it'll show you any broken links you have. So you want to create an environment or a structure or a foundation in your website which is easy for Google to crawl. So you want to make sure that those broken links are fixed, and you want to make sure that you're not giving a disappointing user experience. If a real person comes to your website and clicks through on a broken link, they'll most likely leave your web page and go back to the search engine and find a website or another provider of the service or product that you offer. The other thing that I find from a technical point of view is people have insecure content or no SSL certificate. So you might have noticed if you have Google Chrome that people are almost getting an error saying that the content is not secure. Testing that I've seen in SEO groups shows that SSL websites or websites that have HTTPS do tend to rank better than ones that don't. So it's best to have an SSL certificate for your website to also add a level of encryption and help keep it secure. But by not having it, you're going to be showing users a not secure warning message. So you definitely don't want to be doing that from a user point of view, because it might put people off, and you definitely don't want to from an SEO point of view. Now, sometimes if you haven't got the SSL certificate installed correctly, you can get errors where you've got mixed content. So you've got both HTTP and HTTPS on your website. So if you don't have HTTPS, contact your website host and get them to upgrade your hosting to include HTTPS. Multiple versions of the same site accessible. So if you have HTTPS now, but if you type in the old HTTP URL, it should redirect. The same as if you use www or non-www in your domain or your URL, they should all direct to one address. So whether you use HTTPS or HTTP or www or non-www, everything should only have one version. So for example, if you type in www.digitaltreasury.com.au or you type in digitaltreasury.com.au, these all redirect to my https://digitaltreasury.com.au. If you don't, this can lead to having multiple versions of your website, which can cause duplicate content issues, and it can hurt Google when they're trying to index your website. Deborah says, one of my checks said that the SSL certificate expiring in a month. I did not know I had it. I'll get a reminder to them. Yes. Any tips on how to start? So just if you've already got a provider, you should be able to review it. Most website hosting for WordPress sites these days does come with SSL certificates included. So hopefully you can find a plan that has an SSL certificate included. Missing a sitemap. So another thing that makes it easy for Google to crawl your web page and find all your content is a sitemap. So your sitemap's usually an XML file that's located at your domain /sitemap.xml. If you have a WordPress website, there's a WordPress plugin called Yoast SEO that actually can generate a sitemap for your business automatically. If you have Squarespace or Shopify, there are apps or add-ons that can do this as well. So you want to have a sitemap because Google can go to that sitemap, and then from the sitemap, it can find easily all your different posts and pages within your web page. So this example is from my website. Within the sitemap, it has a mini sitemap with the posts and a mini sitemap with the pages. So Google can find easily if I've added new pages to my website, as an example. So you definitely want to make sure there's a sitemap on your web page. This used to be something that people did, 10, 15 years ago manually, but people seem to have stopped doing it for some reason. But you can now get these automatically generating. Missing image alt tags. So I find that not just missing, when people are uploading their images, not only are they getting the sizing wrong, so they're uploading images with really, really large sizes, but they're also forgetting to include the alt text of an image. So the alt text is descriptive text that you should, or a bit of code that when you upload an image in, WordPress or Shopify or Squarespace or Wix or Weebly or whatever you're using, it usually has a field called description or alternative text description or alt text description. And basically what this text does is it adds that tag to the image. So it helps Google understand what the image is about when it's crawling them. So it can form a perspective on what piece of content that's about. But it can also help people who can't read, who maybe are blind. It can help their reader read out to them what the image is about. So Google has a guide to how to actually write alt text. So I won't sort of, steal from them basically, but you basically just want to be as descriptive as possible around your alt text. So they're saying bad alt text is when you don't do it or when you stuff it with keywords. So if you had an image called puppy.jpg, the alt text would, if you were just trying to stuff keywords in there by writing puppy, dog, baby, dog, pups, puppies, doggies, puppies, retrievers, Labradors, puppy food supplies, cheap, this is not really helpful to the world or the internet. If you wrote your alt text as puppy, that's better, but a better way would be to just describe it as, just say what's in the image. If you can use your keywords, great, but you just want to describe what's in the image. So Dalmatian puppy playing fetch. And that's probably what's in that image for that web page. So look through the Google guide or the webmaster's tools on what they suggest. But my advice to you on image alt text is, one, don't forget to include it when you're uploading images. And two, just be as descriptive as possible. So for example, on Ramina's image that we had, we'd have like lady wearing green bikini, or, wearing green bikini at a resort maybe. So, be as descriptive as possible as to what's actually happening in the image. Cecilia's asked, are you able to provide a copy of the slides after the webinar? Yes, Francisco will be emailing these out after today's session. And you'll also have a replay, I believe, of the session as well. So those are the key technical errors that I see when I'm mentoring people. There are more, and you can identify more definitely from the speed test that we went through with Romina's case at the start. So you might find other things in there. All I would do if I was you, I would copy and paste the text explaining what the issue is, and I would search around to find people talking through how they fix their website from a technical point of view. So are there any questions on anything I've discussed on the technical aspects of cleaning up your website? So we're making sure your website's already got a good foundation to build on. So it's got a good foundation to publish content on, that it's easy for Google to go through and crawl your website and make sure that it's actually a valid web page that deserves to be indexed and deserves to be included to then eventually be determined for ranking by Google's algorithm. So if you have any technical SEO questions, chuck them in the chat right now. I can't see any questions, so I must have answered every single thing possibly and perfectly. No, that can't be true. Tanya has asked, can you change your alt text after you've uploaded the images? Yes. So if you have a content management system, even if you're happen to be doing HTML manually, you can change the alt text later. The other thing I want to point out with the alt text, you want to, whatever page that picture's on, the picture should be relevant to the text content. The picture should help you rank for those keywords. So for example, if I'm trying to rank a page for SEO in Australia, I'm going to have images that are about SEO. So it might be like, you know, this image is an SEO performance chart. This image is a SEO campaign results from an automotive client. So you want to make sure that your images are on pages that relate to the actual text content around them as well, which you're going to do, right? Cecilia says, good technical overview. Thanks, Cecilia. Deborah has asked, what does it mean to create a custom 404 page? Okay, so a 404 page is when someone happens to click on a broken link linking to somewhere in your page that doesn't exist. So you might see it sometimes. You get a page 404 not found. So to create a custom page, 404 page, basically means to do your own design on that page. Jeanette has asked, currently we have a new website built. Do I need to ask the website designer re-SEO? So website designers are not SEOs, and some of them know SEO and some don't. So I obviously do with my business because I think people should have the right foundations set up for SEO to start working for them. So yes, you definitely should ask them to consider SEO when they're structuring your navigation and your web page layout, and that you have the ability to adapt SEO titles and descriptions. So you want it set up for SEO, Jeanette. Definitely you want to be asking that before the build phase if you can. Deborah's asked, what does it mean to check URL slugs as it's best to have URLs that reflect the content of the page? So basically the URL is like the address. So if you have, for example, my piece of content that ranks for SEO Australia, the slug or the URL for that is SEO-Australia. So whatever's in the URL is going to be a really strong signal to Google, as well as the content, as well as the title, as well as the description, as well as the image file names, as well as the body text. But that URL slug is going to be a really key indicator to Google what that page is about. So if that page is about plumber-Melbourne, it's a really key signal from a Google point of view that that content is about plumbing Melbourne. Deborah has said, my problem started with my website designer not even telling me about SEO. Yeah, it's technically not their job, but not all website designers are born equally. So not all of them consider SEO, which is a bit sad. because there's a lot of benefit your business can get from having SEO. But having an SEO set up and doing SEO is still not, having the SEO set up correctly is still not going to guarantee that you're going to rank for certain terms. There's still quite a lot of work to do. Hong has said at the broken link check, I can find a table showing a list of broken links, but how do I know which page contains the link? If you look at that table, Hong, it has in it the URL source. And if you click on source, it should show you where on the page that link is. So yeah, click on the link that says, the text that says source, Hong. Is there any other questions before we jump into keyword research? I can have a sip of my tea. All right, I don't think we have any more questions, but if there are any, just feel free to put them in the chat and I'll pause and get to them in a second. Jeanette has asked, what is DNS? I have a pink DNS when doing the speed check. So your DNS is your domain name servers. So your domain name servers might be taking a long time to actually even locate the website. So that could hint at the website. So that could hint that your hosting could be quite slow. Hong has said PPC Urban Consulting is a professional consulting specializing in... Okay, I'm not sure what you're trying to ask there, Hong. How do I read this one? I'm not exactly sure there, Hong, but there should be a link to URL and source next to that. So next to where it's got the link to where the broken links, I think it tells you what the broken link is, and then it should say source of where the broken links are. So the source, that is the source of the broken link. If you click on that, it should take you to that part of the page. Melinda's asked, what is the difference between a URL slug and a URL? It's sort of the same. It's the same thing. Slug can be like, some people I think refer to the slug as the last piece after the /. So for example, digitaltreasury.com.au/SEO-Australia. People would say the slug of that is SEO-Australia, for example. All right, keyword. All right, Hong's having trouble with the broken link checker, so I might just jump in and show you guys that while we're here. So I'll run that in the background, Hong. So is it ppcurban.com.au? So I'll just run this in the background, and when it's finished, I'll jump into it and we'll have a look. All right, so while that's running, I'm just going to kick on with keyword research. So keyword research is basically researching or discovering what actual keywords or search terms consumers are using in Google to find your business's products or services that you sell. So initially, basically, we have to brainstorm seed keywords of what you think customers will be using to find your business. And then what we need to do is we need to do a deeper dive to see what else around or similar to those keywords are being used by your competitors. So the output of keyword research is basically a big list of keywords that your business should end up targeting with the content that you write. So this leads into content writing. It's actually also like a really great tool just to research around and get information about your customers and what they're looking for. This information used to be very expensive to get, but now you can get it pretty much for close to free. Paul has just asked for the photo descriptions. Is there any length to the description? If you're getting more than sort of 8 words, Paul, you're probably stuffing keywords. You just want to describe the image as simply as you can. So the example that Google gave was Dalmatian puppy playing fetch. So that's a good example, and that's around 4 words. So that should give you a guide. But if you're getting over 8 words, I'd really question if you're stuffing keywords in there. Jumping back to keyword research, in terms of keywords, you need to keep in mind that there's different levels of intent for different keywords. So some keywords are more informational, which is searches related to trying to learn something or get education or the answer to a question. So for example, like how to grow a lemon tree or symptoms of plantar fasciitis. So these are more informational. There's navigational keywords where searches are performed to find a specific website. So if people are looking for the age or the NAB login page, they're looking for something specific and it's not really something worthwhile going after. Transactional keywords. So these are searches performed to actually buy something. So buy diamond jewelry online, best copywriter in Melbourne, cost of consulting. These are more transactional type keywords, which is actually somewhere that someone looking or close to looking to buy something. So from that point of view, there's keywords that have commercial intent that are found where they're actually looking to transact. And these are the most desirable keywords to actually rank your business for because they indicate that a customer or a consumer or a searcher is actually close to buying a product. Then there's things like low intent keywords. So these tend to be those navigational or informational keywords, and they're less likely to convert people into actual buying customers, but they are good keywords to get awareness around your business existing in that space, and being an educator and being a provider of content is really a good positioning for you. Another way to look at keywords is there's long tail and there's short tail. So short tail keywords often tend to be really, really high volume, and they can look quite sexy, but it's really hard to determine, what's the actual intent behind those keywords. So for example, like something like shoes could be like a really crazy high keyword. There might be hundreds of thousands of searches per month, even in Australia, but they're very non-specific, and it's really hard to know what that person's actually searching for. And are they just browsing? So, are they looking for men's shoes, women's shoes, running shoes, hiking shoes, kids' shoes? Like it could be any sort of derivative, and it could be really hard to know if you are a good person to serve those markets. There is long tail keywords though, which can be they're quite low volume, but they can be quite specific. And if you're actually delivering that exact product or service, they can be easy to rank for. And that person's actually probably pretty close to buying. So for example, if someone was to type in buy Nike Air Zoom Pegasus 31 in Knox, and you happen to have a shoe shop in Knox that had Nike Zoom Air Pegasus 31s, excuse me, there might only be one person per month searching, or 10, but they're actually quite likely to come into your store and buy. So they can be, what I'm basically trying to say is don't sort of sniff at keywords in the research from estimated tools that comes back with low volume, because if the intent's quite high, they can be actually quite good people to get transactions from. So the first step that you need to take in your keyword research is to brainstorm or come up with different, what we call seed keywords. So these are keywords that we think people are using just off the top of our head for our businesses, products, and services. So the easiest way to identify seed keywords is to come up with, just list out your product names, list out your service names. When you've come up with those, go to the searches related to at the bottom of your search engine results. So this is, I put in handmade toys, and then it came up with a whole list of other suggestions. So it also came out with wooden handmade toys, handmade toy ideas, handmade toys for toddlers, handmade toys for babies, quality toys, wooden toys. So that already gives us eight other ideas. And you can also look through and start to disqualify things. So Handmade Toys UK, if that's something you can't service or not interested in, you can ignore keywords as well. You also want to include words that your target market use. So maybe comments on your Facebook pages, comments on forums. Is there slang words maybe that your target audience uses to call your products and services? And you also want to think about the different topics associated with your industry. So maybe with handmade toys, maybe there's a topic of discussion around ethical handmade toys, for example, or sustainable. So what are the different seed keywords that you can list out for your business? So as a bit of an exercise now, I want everyone to write out maybe 5 to 10 different keywords, seed keywords that they want to rank for for your business. So this is going to be used in a few minutes to help rank. And if you can, I've just put 2 examples here. So see keywords for like a service business. So this is for like a roof repairer. So it might be like roof repairs Melbourne, might be like leaking roofs, retiling a roof, roof cleaning, roof restorations, roof gutter replacements, roof painting, maybe aluminium roofs, if that's a product that maybe this company installs. And then maybe for a product-based seed keyword list, it could be like face masks, could be like buy face masks online, reusable face masks, washable face masks, breathable face masks, fashionable face masks. So, think of those different variations or different words you think people might be using, so we can use some keyword research tools to expand upon those. So if you can complete that exercise now, maybe come up with 5 keywords that you want to rank for. And if you could drop them in the chat, I will help one person expand out those keywords. Charlotte has said, I was told, is people also misspelling words as well? So that, Charlotte, used to be a good tactic where you would write a piece of content that allows you to, like you would misspell words on purpose to rank for those misspelled words. Google's algorithm is getting a lot smarter, and it's now able to understand when a word's been misspelt or not. So yeah, so I don't see the need to do that anymore. Basically, that tactic doesn't really work as well as it used to, and it can understand that the misspelt word equals the correct spelling, and it will still rank that normal content. Tim has said, I have to go. Will there be a link to the recording of the session? Francisco, I believe, will be sending a recording of this session. Catherine has said, my business name is annoyingly generic within the public industry. My website doesn't come up on a Google search. Yeah, that's the tough thing about using generic names. What is your name, if you don't mind sharing, Catherine? Eliza says, how many keywords is ideal to work towards? So in terms of seed keywords, I want you to put together 5 to 10. So think of the service names, think of the product names, think of the product categories, think of the topics, and think of the words that people search for, and think of what you want to rank for. So Catherine has said books, debut books. So if I search for debut books, what's going to come up? The debut books is like people's first book, I guess, is what the meaning of that word is. So maybe, yeah, maybe. And so when I see is when I type in debut books, it's a whole heap of lists of different books. So if I was you, I would definitely make sure I've got a Google My Business page that has debut books in it. So it's going to help people that are close to you or in Australia. And also I would create a blog content. I can see someone's got 100 must-read debut novels, the 10 best debut novels of the decade, the 10 best debut novelists of 2020, 15 debut novelists we can't wait to read, 30 best debut novels. I would create a big list of maybe 30 or 40 of the best debut novels of all time and publish that on your blog to try and outcompete them. Okay, so we've had quite a few people put in their topics that they want to rank for, which is great. Motorcycle helmets, custom cakes. We've got asphalt, recycled asphalt. We've got fashion, accommodation. So Jeanette says accommodation, motel stay. Do I need location? Definitely need location, Jeanette. Think about if someone's typing in accommodation, it's not specific enough to what this product is that you're providing. So, and it's going to be incredibly difficult in that space, which is really competitive, to rank for accommodation or motel, for example. So maybe which region are you in, which city are you in, which town are you in? What are the features of your accommodation? What type of accommodation is it? You know, are you a pet-friendly motel? Are you a motel that's on a river? Are you a motel that's, you know, close to a brewery or a winery or something? You know, what is it? What are you near? Definitely proximity is going to be helpful to you. Romina has said, you know, we had the bikinis, so the bottoms, bikini top set, Swimwear Australia, Swimwear Online. Is there something specific about your swimwear line that makes it a little bit more niche? Think about that as well. Jan as a conveyancer. Amber's got related to suicide survival. What else we got? All right, which one am I going to pick? Is everyone finished? I'll give you a couple more seconds, and I'll just open up so we can help. I think it was Hong who was having problems with a broken link check. So I'll just see where that got to while the last few people are adding their seed keywords. Okay, so I'm just gonna change my screen for a second. All right, so can everyone see this screen here? All right, so this is the output of brokenlinkcheck.com, which Hong was saying he was having troubles with. So if you, I think he was having, is it this town planning article? Okay, so the broken link, the URL is from here. So if I click on the right-hand side, it says source. So it says page where it was found. So if I open this up, it's basically saying this link to the URL is on your home. So if I click URL, this is the page where the broken link is. And if I click on source, it opens up the source code. So it's basically saying this link here to town planning portfolio is broken. That link is after PPC, this sentence here. So what I do is I copy and paste that. So it's basically saying this link here, if I click on town planning and I open that up, it's saying, oops, that page can't be found. All right, so you need to correct this hyperlink here. So urban town planning, I think it maybe, should that be linking to your service page perhaps, Hong? So that's how I would fix that, Hong. Hopefully that helps explain it to you. All right, so who am I going to pick? I'm going to pick Maria because I have no real reason. I think you were one of the first person to ask a question this morning. Why not? That's the reason. All right, so what you need to do with keyword research is you basically need to expand out those seed keywords. So what you're going to need for that is a keyword research tool. So what these tools are going to do is they're going to give you estimated monthly volume. So how many people are searching for that? They're going to give you an idea of the competition level and estimate how hard it might be to rank that keyword. And then they're going to show you a cost per click from the ads. So while we're not interested in ads per se, we're actually, what the ads indicate to us is how much intent is behind those keywords. If people are willing to pay for the ads, that's usually a good sign. So in terms of keyword research tools, you can use the Google search engine results themselves. So you know that people also search for section at the bottom that I was talking about. You can use the Keywords Everywhere tool, which for just, you can get it for free, but for $10, you can get more data from it more quickly. Or you can use Uber Suggest, which is actually free, and you can sign up and it'll suggest keywords for you. You just need to sign up to a free account to get the unlimited data, which I'll show you in a second. And another one is Answer the Public, which can actually be really handy for generating questions to help you write your blog posts and your social media posts. So if I jump back into here, so the first keyword that that Maria had was, not the first keyword, sorry, one of the keywords it had was bespoke wedding cakes. So when I type in bespoke wedding cakes, because I have the Chrome extension, keywords everywhere, set up. So if you just type in keywords everywhere, I'll drop the link for this in the chat for everybody. There it is. So if I drop that in there, then you just need to follow the instructions to set this up. And what this does is it actually adds volume, cost per click, and competition to your browser. So you can see in the Chrome how much volume, what the cost per click is from the AdWords, and how competitive that keyword is. It also gives you the related keywords. So it's also saying wedding cakes Melbourne, wedding cakes Fitzroy, wedding cakes near me, best wedding cakes Melbourne, wedding cakes Melbourne eastern suburbs. So depending on where Maria is, was it Maria? I think it was Maria. Yeah, where Maria is located, you can start disqualifying keywords that don't make sense to your business. So wedding cakes Melbourne, wedding cakes Fitzroy, maybe they're applicable to you, but eastern suburbs doesn't work for you. Or maybe you do deliver to all sorts of different regions within Victoria, so you don't mind that. Then what else it can do, so if I click on load credits here, what it'll do, it'll give me data for all these keywords as well. So that's where the credits come in, but it's $10 for 100,000, and I use this all the time, and I've only used 33,100. So you don't go through the credits very quickly. So then what you can do is you can export CSV, and what I can start doing is I can create a file, and I can copy from the CSV into this file, and I can start generating a really big list of my keywords, right? So I can start generating that I might want to rank for Melbourne wedding cakes, best wedding cakes Melbourne, Fitzroy, near me, Zephyr and Bloom cakes, right? So these are fab cakes. That must be a brand, I'm guessing, and so Zephyr by the look of things. So I can find all these different keywords relating to this one keyword. Other thing I can do is I can actually click on these keywords and delve deeper into here. So if I click wedding cakes Melbourne, I can get the details of wedding cakes Melbourne and what all the suggested searches are for there. So northern suburbs, eastern suburbs, cheap wedding cakes, whether that's something you do or not. Wedding cake prices. Here's a hint. I suggest every single person creates a page relating to the price of their products. So wedding cake prices is something some people search. If you can just lay out for people, how much does a 50 to 60 person cake cost? How much does a 100-person cake cost? How much does a 100-person cake cost with, 3 different flavors, different icings, whatever the different packages are, whatever the different levels are, the easier you can make yourself to buy from. And if you can give people the information on price, that's going to help them make their decision, and it's going to help you rank. They're also giving you a whole heap of extra data here. So birthday cake Melbourne delivery. So I'm guessing you'd have to deliver it, right? So do you have a delivery service? Is that appealing to you? All these different cakes. So wedding cakes in western suburbs, eastern suburbs. Again, what I would do, I'd click load metrics, I'd export to CSV, and then I would copy and paste them into one big list of keywords that I build out for your business. So that's basically how we start with one keyword and we keep expanding out to find all the keywords. Wedding cake menu. So that sounds perfect too, right? People are looking for the menu of the different cakes that you sell. Produce a page that talks to being a wedding cake menu. Jeanette has asked, I'm confused. Do we need to have keywords in the website content itself for Google customers to find? Yes. So for the moment, Jeanette, we're just worried about finding the keywords that people are using. So we're finding the keywords that people, I don't know how you'd hire or rent a wedding cake. Maybe that's a thing. But we're basically looking for the keywords that people are searching for to then write content for eventually. So the purpose of this process or this step is to give us a whole different list of different keywords that we want to optimize for and eventually write keywords, write content for, sorry. So does that help you, Maria, to start on your way? So this is how you would use keywords everywhere. Another tool you can use is called Ubersuggest. And what Ubersuggest does is, I'll just give you everyone the link to Ubersuggest. I'll put it in the chat. So Ubersuggest, what that does is it gives you like a bit of a nicer user interface. Now, I don't have a free account with these. So Susan has said author visits to schools. That's an interesting one. I haven't heard of that one before, but motivational guest speakers, Australia. Okay, perfect. So if what I can do here, similar to what I did with the seed keyword from Maria's example. So this is for Susan R. I can put my keyword in here, and I just need to change the search engine to English Australia. So this is going to make sure that we get data from Australia. So if I click search, and what that's going to do is it's going to give me an overview. So because I don't have an account, it won't give me all the data, but it gives you, okay, so it's saying no search volume, which is a bit weird. So I'm going to put that I'm just going to put that into Google and see what else it suggests. It's saying motivational speakers. So it doesn't use the word guest, which is interesting. So let's try motivational speakers Australia instead. And we'll just click search again. No volume. That's really weird. So what you technically, let's just try motivational speakers maybe to get some data. Okay, there definitely has to be data for that. So that's weird. So I'm not sure if Ubersuggest isn't working. But the thing you need to do is click on keyword ideas. I'm guessing this website is down at the moment, unfortunately, because I can't imagine that there's no search volume for motivational speakers. Oh, that's a bit sad. Okay, so I'm gonna flick back to using keywords everywhere again for you, Susan. So motivational speakers and motivational guest speakers are going to be super competitive. You know, the other thing you can do is you can use a predictive text. So you can just actually start searching. So are you in, I'm guessing you're in Melbourne. Did you say Melbourne or Australia? Okay, Australia. So you can go Australia, 2020 inspiring speakers, motivational, female motivational speakers, Aboriginal motivational speakers, disabled, best. So maybe you fit into one of those categories. So you can maybe start looking at maybe female motivational speakers. And then you can come up with content around the best speakers and just include yourself in the list. I can see here there's 50 searches per month. The cost per click is $5.60, which is good. It indicates me that there's commercial intent for that keyword. And then you can see here guest speakers for women's groups. So I really, really like when you can find niche content like this. So if you specifically provide guest speaking for women's groups and talk around certain issues that they're interested in, you can create specific content. Now, the search volume might be really low for that. It might only be, well, let's click on it here. So I click on guest speakers for women's groups. It's actually saying the volume is 0. You got to remember these are tools and they're just trying to make estimates. If it's coming up, I'm sure that the search volume is a lot higher than that. And if you start ranking for those terms, you'll find in your Google Search Console how many actual impressions you're getting. And I'm certain it'll be higher than 0. But you can create really specific content for that and rank for those pages. So I would definitely suggest ranking, looking around and seeing what different comments. So female motivational speakers, female business speakers. If these apply to your business, you can add them to your keyword list of different ones to search for. I'm a bit disappointed. I'm not sure if anyone else is having any luck with Ubersuggest or if it's just me. But what this does is it actually can give you all those keyword ideas in one place, and then you can copy them to a clipboard, and then you can paste them to your list of keywords in your Excel sheet. So it's a bit sad that that's not working today, unfortunately. So sorry about that. So what you're going to want to do, so we've talked about, just looking through the searches, but I really suggest everyone goes and gets the Keywords Everywhere Chrome extension. It also works in Firefox too, and getting that set up on your browser, and then getting that data as you're searching around and creating those lists of different keywords that are appealing to your business. The other search engine that I haven't shown you yet is Answer the Public. Answer the Public. So what that does, I'll just drop that in the chat now. What that does, is that there? Yep, cool. So this actually tells you the questions that people are asking. So if it was, motivational speakers, right? Use the topics. What it's going to do is it's going to dissect that topic, and it's going to tell us what questions people ask. So unfortunately, this is the data from the US. So if you want data from Australia, it costs a lot more money. But I find the US data is going to be similar to what people ask here. So I like to change this to data. And what you can see here is it strips out all the who, what, why, when, where, how, can, are, which, why questions that people ask relating to motivational speakers. So are motivational speakers effective? So that could make a really nice blog post for your webpage. So if someone is looking for information if they're effective, they're probably someone in the space in a decision to actually purchase or buy motivational speaking services at some point. Why are motivational speakers important? Again, so how are motivational speakers paid? How much do people make money? How motivational speakers earn money? What do motivational speakers talk about? So you could have a blog article talking about the different topics you cover. And then you could link down to a page that talks about those topics in more detail. So how much do motivational speakers charge? So if you're creating that piece of content around your prices, and within that pricing page, you talk about how much do motivational speakers charge, or how much do I charge for my motivational speaking services, it's going to give you a chance to rank for what do motivational speakers charge. According to this, there's 10 searches per month. So if it's 10 searches per month, but if one of those persons buys, $2, $3, $4, $5, $10,000 worth of motivational speaking, it could be quite lucrative for you to rank for that keyword. So this can be a really great source of extra keywords, or those long tail keywords to rank for. I can see a couple of questions in the chat, so I'm just going to address those quickly. Looks like people have been answering their own questions, which is really nice. Thanks for everybody. It's good engagement. Harry's got Ubersuggest working for him. Okay, that's great. Good stuff, Harry. I'm not sure what's going on with my version. Keywords Everywhere is now paid. Yes, that's true, Paul. It costs $10 to get 100,000 credits, so it's very, very inexpensive compared to a lot of SEO tools, which can be quite expensive. If there's no questions, I'll just keep going. So I guess the output of this keyword research that we're doing is that you're going to create a massive list of keywords that people are searching for relating to your business's products and services. So by understanding the words the consumer use to find those keywords, it's going to help you optimize the content that you end up writing. So we're doing another webinar, Francisco, I believe in a couple of weeks, which we're going to talk about optimizing content and maybe link building as well. I can't remember the exact format, or if we're splitting them into two more sessions. But today I really wanted to go into more detail than I do in the overall sessions on SEO, on how to perform that technical content and how to get the foundations of your website right, and how to find those keywords that your customers are looking for. So we're setting ourselves off on the right path in terms of what content we need to write. So that's all I had today. We've got plenty of time left now for questions about anything I've discussed today. I noticed Francisco's just dropped a link to how to write content with keywords, which is maybe it's next week or the week after. I'll just check that out while I'm talking to myself. But feel free to answer any. It's on the 6th of August. There you go. Again at 11 o'clock. So sign up for that webinar and make sure you get the replay. Maria has asked how to use them with the content text but not attached to the photo. Can you be a bit more detailed, Maria? I'm not exactly sure what you're quite asking. I guess we're going to talk about, today we didn't really talk about how to adapt the content, but except for a technical error I come across is people don't complete the alt image tags when they're uploading images. I suggest in your image tags, alt image tags, that you just describe the image and describe the image using the keywords that page you want it to rank for is going to help you. Hope that helps, Maria. Also, there is we do need people to fill in the feedback. So let us know how you found this session, how you found this training. Hong has asked, read the pay-per-click. The higher, the better. How can I increase my organic search at multiple locations? So pay-per-click, if it's higher, that indicates that the value of that customer is higher. So, for example, if you look at cost per click for lawyers and high ticket type services or businesses like architects, you find the cost per click is quite high. Sometimes it can be $20, $30, $40, $50 a click. So this is a really good way of giving you an indication of what the intent is like and how much commercial leverage you're going to get from actually ranking for that keyword. So from an organic point of view, the high cost per click is a good indicator that that's a good keyword to go after, because it's basically telling you someone's willing to pay money for it. Deborah has said, how many keywords are in a massive list? I did keyword research for someone this week and I gave them 37,000 keywords. But that's just to scare you, Deborah. As many as you need, as many as you find. You're probably going to find 50 to 100, and you maybe want to narrow that down to 10 or 20 that you want to target. Tanya says, I search popular blogs and articles that are ranking the highest. Do you have an advice on how to adapt to that account for that? So you basically, we're going to talk about that more in content when we talk about that in a couple of weeks. But basically, you want to be checking the content that ranks right now, today, for the keywords you want to rank for. And then you want to be keeping in mind how many images they have, how many, what their page titles are, what their description is, how many words they have in the body text. And you want to be aiming to improve on that and better that and have better content and have more, answer more questions and be more detailed and have higher quality content than the competitors do. So you basically, you want to be increasing the word count by 10 or 20%, and you want to be having similar tagging in your images, in your image file names, you want to have similar headings and talk about similar things in your content, but you just want to make it better and bigger. Hope that helps, Tanya. Maria has said, you mentioned about using SEO and photos. Yes, so the SEO and photos from a technical point of view is I find that many people are missing the descriptions and the alt text. And it's an opportunity to help signal to Google what your content is about. So don't miss that opportunity. Complete your alt text. And if it's too big of a job, make sure you're doing it going forward. If you have a WordPress website, you can actually go to the media section and you can quite quickly, pick an image, change the alt text, and then click to the next image, click to the next image, click to the next image, and make sure your alt text is filled in. Jeanette has asked, what sort of time frame are we looking at for improvement when doing SEO? It really depends, Jeanette, which is a horrible answer, I know, but it's really hard to know. Sometimes it can be instantly. If you do have a major error that is preventing you from being crawled or being indexed, Sometimes it can take, a couple of weeks to months. So yeah, what we're really doing with technical SEO is we're setting up the foundations of your website to make your website, it's on the right footing. So, if we're not producing all this really great content, but our structure of our web page is, missing a few technical aspects, it's really going to hold back our good content. So still got maybe 10 or so minutes for content, questions even. So feel free to put them in the chat. But thanks so much there's been quite a bit of engagement today, which has been really great and made it a lot easier for me. And it's good to, meet all of you. And thank you for the people that kindly gave up their businesses to use as examples today. I hope that helps you. And, let me know how your optimization goes. Let me know how your loading speed goes. And if you wanted to book a session with me, a one-on-one mentoring session, there is 2 hours available for everyone in the ASBAS program. If you, that's for people in Victoria. If you want additional mentoring, there's actually a business resilience program that I'm also a part of as part of Melbourne Innovation Centre. So if you go to melbourneinnovationcentre.com.au, there is an additional 4 hours of free mentoring you can get. You just have to apply under that program. Kirsty says, thanks, Brett. Great stuff. Looking forward to the next webinar. Thanks for that. Tanya says, thank you so much. I just launched my website and SEO was on the list. I had to go online with the lockdown. Francisco has just dropped the link to the business resilience mentoring I was mentioning. So you can get an additional 4 hours of mentoring. And as I said, if you do want, I do put up tips and different SEO information on my LinkedIn account. So if you want to add me on LinkedIn, you can see my content there. Maria has asked, is there 2 lots of 4 hours? No, it's 2 lots of 2 hours, Maria. And there are a lot of other great mentors on there. So if you don't have to use it with me. There are lots of other mentors. You might have questions more to do with business resilience. You may have more questions to do with, social media, with your HR, with finance even. So yeah, check out the list and see what's going on there. Amber Grace says, thanks very much. Love the content. Looking forward to the next webinar. No worries. Glad you enjoyed it. Ramina said, thank you so much. I have lots to do with today's information. That's what I hear. When people have mentoring sessions with me and people have webinars, I've got a lot to do now, which is good. Because if you don't take action, a lot of people I find don't actually take action on this content. So at least try and implement as much as you can. Maria says she's speaking with Dan on social media. Great. That's awesome. Melinda says, thank you. Charlotte says, sorry, I hit mute. Deborah says, thanks very much for another seminar. Harry says, thank you. Charlotte has asked, how and when do we get the video? Francisco, when are you putting the video up? Francisco works for Melbourne Innovation Centre and the ASBAS program. If you're wondering why I'm talking to a person called Francisco, you can see him chatting under ASBAS. Replay will get sent out this week. Alex has made a list of actions. Perfect, Alex. Let me know how you go implementing them. All right, there doesn't seem to be any more questions. So if you have any more questions, you've got another 30 seconds and then we'll wrap up. I see a few people have followed me on LinkedIn. All right, doesn't seem to be any more questions, so I think we'll wrap up there. Thanks everyone for coming today. We talked about technical SEO and making sure that your website's on the right foundations, and we went through some steps of some common problems that I see all the time. So hopefully that gives you some confidence to find those errors and fix them. And then we stepped through some examples of keyword research and how to brainstorm those seed keywords for your business about what you want to rank for, and then how to go about expanding those keywords out to find a full set of different keywords which you can attack. And then we've got coming up next how to optimize those keywords. So you've got a bit of homework between now and the 6th of August to get those keyword lists, get them built out, and then we've got a big list of keywords. I'm going to be testing. I'm going to make you chat at the top of the content optimization workshop with what the top 5 keywords are that you want to rank for. And then we can go through a few examples for people there. So thanks everyone for joining today, and I'll catch you next time.